Coaching the Collingwood Football Club's a massive honour. It's something that I've had a couple of years to prepare for, but I suppose in many ways you're preparing a lot further back than that. As head coach in the first year, it really was very similar to any start of the year as a player. You go through a pre-season and you put the hard work in and you do the hard yards, but you never really know how well you're prepared against an opposition until you come into your first game in round one, so when there's points on the line. So the anxiety leading into that first game against Hawthorn was not dissimilar to being a player and wondering whether you'd done enough and whether you were prepared, and that was something that I felt every year as a player. It was how I felt as a coach, and we didn't get the result that night. But we had 6 players that had played five or less games, and that was exciting in itself. You had 3 debutants coming in, so there was some excitement from that regard. But as a head coach, and the first time as a head coach of a club that you love, of an organisation that you're very proud to be a part of, I suppose at the time I didn't give myself much time to reflect on it, but it was a great honour.
As Collingwood arrive, to Judd, gets past Ball. The Ball hurt himself again there.
When Bally goes down, I mean, your instant reaction is that you're disappointed for a bloke who just invests so much into his footy and cares so much about where this club and where this team is going. He's a very strong leader for us, and he's proven that in the 8-9 weeks since his recovery and his impact as a leader. But on game day, it's interesting. You're disappointed, but you've still got a game to coach. You've still got a game to play, and I don't think that we handled it all that well as a team. That was clearly our worst performance for the year, and there were some things that went against us early that, and probably tactically and from a coaching perspective, we weren't at our best. But we've taken the lessons out of that.
Accept it and know the love at the football club, Mick, but leave it behind now. Enjoy what you're doing in the media. Criticise our game plan, that's fine, because that's what you're there to do. You're there to break it down as a commentator. But come on, let's not poke people in the eye who have actually given a fair bit of their life to support you along the way.
Look, I'm a big believer that challenges provide opportunity to grow, and failure in its many forms provides that very same opportunity. So the challenges we went through early in the year, whether it be on the field or off the field in regards to commentary that was less than favourable to an individual or to the team, well then that's part of the environment that we're in. We're professional athletes, we're expected to perform. There's expectation around each individual and there's expectations around the organisation. So I welcome that, and I really, it's easy in retrospect, but it really was an opportunity for us to just narrow our focus to the things that we could control and the things that we're in charge of. Mick's working in the media and he's entitled to an opinion. He's doing his job, and I think he's doing it particularly well. His perspective about Collingwood is more informed than anyone outside of the footy club. So I take note of his comments, because he obviously knows intimately how the game was played from Collingwood in recent times in particular. Yeah, so I think it was pretty clear after that everyone knew I could deliver a press conference, but the jury was still out on whether I could coach, and it should still be out now. But look, I'm very matter of fact with all that I speak to the public through the media twice a week. Once in the lead up and then once after the game. That's a prerequisite. It's part of the coach's role, and I'm more than happy to speak on behalf of the players and of the club in general. And on that particular occasion, I suppose that is part of the role, and it's part of being a leader at the club, and I thought it was important just to bring the focus and direction back on what was important, and that is how we're playing on the football field. And there are plenty of people around who want to take and shift that focus into other areas, but in the inner sanctum, I mean, clearly that's all we can control, and that's all we'll focus on. Yeah, pretty hard to spend much time on Anzac Day with the 4-day break. So it was a bit of a whirlwind 5 days, coming off the Port Adelaide game and then straight into the game against Essendon. So a lot of that was about recovery.
Newgall's been good. Sidebottom smothering Porton. Quick kick forward by Maxwell. Who's underneath it? Fletcher couldn't get a hand on it. Cloak's there. Well played by Carlisle in the back, or rather Hooper in the back half.
Very little you can do in the last couple of minutes of a game of footy like Anzac Day. I can categorically tell you that there's no chaos in the box. I mean, there's emotion, and obviously there's real investment in what's going out in the footy field. But I've been very happy with the way our coaches' box has operated. I reckon we've been able to make the right calls at the right time. We felt like with the last quarter of the Essendon game that we didn't hold our structures at times, and that we weren't able to. We lost our disciplines. But having said that, you know, we were able to drag it back in that last couple of minutes and score when we needed to, and hold on for, you know, what ended up being a really strong win.
He go in with a kick to full forward. Cloak, not quite. Blair, Collingwood back in front.
The challenge for us is not to get wrapped up in a 1-point win and think that, you know, that we're the be all and end all. And I think we're able to maintain grounded after that and beyond that, and really took the good out of it, but also looked at the improvement areas from that performance, as we think we do every week. And if we stay grounded and look at the good and the bad, well, then you're going to get a fairly realistic image of where you are and where you need to get to.
It's Saturday night football at Amy Stadium in Adelaide. It is the Magpies on the road to take on the Adelaide Crows, who are sitting in second position, Collingwood in fifth.
The most encouraging thing about the Adelaide game was once again introducing youth and those guys being able to stand up. You know, Marley Williams and Jamie Elliott playing their first games. Obviously going in with the one key back in Keefe, who didn't end up getting through the match. So there were challenges that we were faced with going into that game, and obviously a rampant Adelaide side who had played and have since played fantastic contested footy, and will be a force to reckon with at the end of this year, no doubt. So that was a great result for us to be able to get away, really focus in on what each player's role was within the team structure, and to have most guys go out and execute that.
Good centering kick, hits the spot. Pendlebury the collect, slips the tackle, bends it around the body. That could be priceless.
I played 4 quarters of footy, and I thought clearly that was our strongest performance to that point.
There's your full stop. There's your heartbreaker.
The Gold Coast and Melbourne games in round 10 and 11 were, once again, spoke to the playing group, and they're our most important game is our next game. So coming up against those opponents, there were different challenges that presented themselves to the challenges that we'd faced in the first 9 rounds. Winning games that you should win is easier said than done. You still need to go out and do it. The focus needs to be right. You don't need to be that far off your best to expose yourself to a team that might be, you know, playing good footy that particular day. So our challenge was just to make sure that we looked after our end of the bargain, and for the most part I was encouraged by the players that represented the club to be able to do that.
Shoved away from him. Good commitment from Howard.
We've lost 3 or 4 players. The Judd gets past Ball. Ball hurt himself again then. Okay. Now YC decided that it is causing him a lot of pain.
Oh, look, the injuries have been a concern. As I've sort of said all along, you want to control what you can control. So we've had discussions in-house about what's in our power to control, whether it's load or volume or intensity of our pre-season or even our sort of in-week training between games. We've our load has probably increased marginally from last year, for instance, and you keep going back to comparison and history to be able to give you a basis for where you're working from. But there's very little we can do about ACLs. So we've got 4 now, which is not great. But we've got like Brett McCaffrey and Andy Cracker, Bawley, and then now Lockie Keefe are the 4 guys that are thick as thieves helping each other through the circumstance. I mean, it's bizarre. You don't spend a lot of time thinking about it because you just start weeping. But the fact that 4 blokes have got the same injury and they're long-termers, I mean, you wouldn't rate it. You wouldn't have thought that you'd be in that position at the beginning of the year, but it is what it is, and we deal with what we can control once again, and those boys are working diligently to get themselves back in as quick a time and in as good a shape as they can, and that example runs through the whole group. You know, it's whether they're playing or whether they're not, they set an example with the way that they're rehabilitating and the way they're preparing themselves for their next opportunity, which is exactly what we want to do. We want every individual to do throughout the group, and in a funny way, having those 3 or 4 weeks without the crash and bash of a home and away season could really have them in great stead come the second half of the year. So once again, I'll keep looking for, and we as an organisation keep looking for the positives out of every circumstance, and really feel that, you know, the second half of the year provides us with an opportunity to start working towards probably our squad of 26 that are going to 26, 28 that are going to contend through finals and the second half of the year, and you really want those guys to start playing some quality football together over a period of time, and you know, we don't believe that we'll be injury free between now and the end of the year, but we definitely would like to believe that we'll have a better run than we had in the first half. The situation or the position we're in the season at the moment, you know, we've been able to go along and perform fairly consistently through the first half of the year, and if we stay on that path, then eventually you're going to have, you know, people talk you up as a premiership fancy, finals contenders, whatever title they want to put on it. But it doesn't change what you need to do day in, day out to prepare for your chance to perform at the end of the year. So whilst there's, as I said, whilst there's that external perception of where you're at and what you're capable of, the focus comes straight back to what's immediately in front of you. It might be a weight session, it might be a recovery session. For the coaches, it might be an opposition analysis of the next opponent. Be Robert Harvey having a look at the stoppage structures of the next team we play. You know, Ben Hart and Matty Lappin looking at their respective divisions and making sure that we tinker with our game plan so that we're 1 or 2% better next week than we were last week. And I think there's still a little bit of white line fever in all of the coaches on our panel. You know, we've got a real fierce desire to succeed and to be a part of a successful environment. And the focus sort of goes back to what we can impact and what we can control, and 95% of that, 99% of that is done through the week with our preparation on the opposition, coaching the strategies and the way that we want to play, and then you hand it over to the players towards the end of the week. And you know, as a collective, group of coaches, we've been very impressed with how our players have taken that on board and their real effort and enthusiasm around executing those strategies on match day, which is fundamentally what it's all about. We planned what we wanted to do mid-season, probably started talking about it 8 weeks ago and finalised it probably a month before getting away. We believe that it was the best step to review and recover, re-energise and then have ourselves focused to get back for the game against West Coast, and we're looking no further than that. We see them as obviously a legitimate top 4 team and a team that's played some very good footy through the first half of the year, and we're going to have our hands full. So our entire focus now, after rejuvenating sort of over the last week, is to make sure we hit the ground running and look after round 13.
Welcome back to the club. A fascinating look at the year so far there with the coach, Nathan Buckley. Now joining me live in the studio is a man who's been in scintillating form this year. He's really stepped up. Steele Sidebottom, welcome to the club.
Thanks, mate. It's a pleasure to be on.
Steele, life at Collingwood must be pretty good. Nathan Buckley looks like he's really settled into the coaching role well.
Yeah, he has, and the 2 years prior to him being the head coach, he was assistant, and he obviously, I suppose, he'd done his apprenticeship, like they say, and I think he's been outstanding to date now. So yeah, good on him.
And you can reveal to us exclusively on the show that you're loving life so much that you've signed a 2-year extension on your contract.
Yes, I have. Today I've I suppose put pen to paper, and I'll be applying until end of 2014. So yeah, good news for me.
Why did you decide to stay, and why did you decide to do it now to get the contract out of the way?
I think we've obviously got a pretty close knit at the club at the minute, and I think I'd be mad to leave. And as you said, why did I do it now? I didn't really plan. I think it's just how it's really worked out, and I suppose now I'm just happy that it's done and dusted.
You've been in career best form. Were there any clubs that came knocking at your door looking for your signature?
Not knocking at my door, and I didn't hear too much from my manager either, but I was never intending to go anywhere, obviously.
Can you tell us, is there anyone else at the club that you think might be close to signing? With some more good news, Bally and Blairy have both re-signed today as well for an extra 2 years, so it's great for them, and obviously great for the club as well to get as many people to sign as we can now. Moving forward, to be successful, we obviously want to try and keep the group together. Is that something that you talk about as a group?
I don't think we don't get together and talk about it, but I think a lot of players play for success, and the guys have want to hang around with the group we've got, because it's obviously some exciting times to come. So the more guys we can get to sign on now, well, then hopefully more success we can have.
How important are players like Luke Ball and Jared Blair in the team, and how important is it for the rest of the team to know that they're staying?
I think it's massive, and to see that them quality guys that are signing on, it can only help, and other guys see them sign on and think that the club can only go forward, and hopefully they can put pen to paper as well pretty soon.
You've just come back from your mid-season trip to Port Douglas. What were some of the things that you discussed on that trip in regards to the rest of the year? We obviously went back over a bit of the first half of the season and reviewed it, and took some positives and what we need to work on as well. But I think we've been going not too bad, and if we can keep taking a few steps towards I suppose up in that stance, we'll hold ourselves in good stead for the rest of the season.
Pendlebury back to goal, feeds it to Sidebottom. Sidebottom has snapped. What a beauty! What a beauty by Steele Sidebottom against the flow. What a quality young player he is.
Welcome back to the club. Steele Sidebottom is still with us here in the studio.
Mate, you don't mind a goal. You famously kicked 10 in the TAC Cup Grand Final. You love getting up for the big games, don't you?
I think everyone does, but you know, I might have been a bit lucky to, you know, get a few of the goals I've had. But I'm not complaining. I'll take them for sure.
We've had some great feedback on Twitter so far through the break, with people sending in congratulations that you've come back on for 2 years. So that's really positive news. And Blairy and Bawley. Now, you're the youngest of 5. How much of your success do you attribute to being the youngest of 5 boys? How much did that help you?
How much do I take or do they? You know, I think they take a lot of it, but I'm not sure. I think, you know, being the youngest, I might have got roughed up a little bit. That maybe could have made me a little bit tougher, but I don't know. I think they'd take a lot of credit for where I am now, I'm sure.
We've got a photo here of your brothers. You're a pretty close-knit bunch, aren't you? Just run us through who they are from left to right.
On the left is Josh, known as Twiggy. As you can see, he's quite skinny. Then to him's Ryan, who they call Golly. He used to call his dummy Golly when he was little, so that's why he got him. And then, yeah, to the left of me is Trent, who they call Boof. He's got a bit of a boof head. And then Tice on the end they call Fleabag, which I'm not 100% sure why they do, but yeah, that's what they run with.
Must have been great for you spending time with your brothers growing up. Must be very similar to the atmosphere at a football club.
Yeah, it is, and I think, you know, the longer you're there, that, you know, the more close that you do get with them people, and it's sort of like, you know, there's about 40 players on their list, and it's, you know, it's like having 40 brothers, I suppose. Did you ever get to play in a team together, all of you, as brothers? No, not at all. I've played with Ryan for a few years, but Trent, Tice and Josh all played in the grand final in 2005 for Tally Groupner, so I suppose, yeah, that's something that they'll never forget. Any chance you can get them down to Collingwood? Are they good enough? I think, yeah, probably not. Now, there's a chance... Sure, no, they all are, sorry. There's a chance this weekend that Nathan Brown will line up on his brother Mitch. Who are you going to have your money on? I'll be mad not to have on Brownie, I think. Well, he can't really lose, can he? Well, every week's a blockbuster, and if you haven't already signed up for the Collingwood Football Club, you can buy a 3-game membership for $99, and that gives you any 3 home games at the G. Also, if you've dreamed of playing at the MCG, you can play in the Live Your Dream at the MCG before the Freo game, and that game is coached by Tarkin Lockyer and Rocket Eade. So it's for a good cause, and you can get down there and play on the G. Now, Steele, next week, the club is moving to 9:30 on Tuesday night, so will you be watching? I'll definitely be watching, mate, for sure. Well, Steele, thanks for joining us in the studio. You've been going great this year. It's really great to see the improvement from you, and enjoy the rest of the year. Good luck. No worries, thanks.